very much for joining this morning our third webinar in a series of 8 that we have this month. Every Tuesday and Thursday morning, a webinar this month. So we have one more on Thursday morning and then 2 more weeks to go, all under the topic of technology and innovation. And it's a pleasure for me this morning to welcome Juliette from TRIPBAM, who will give us an insight on the product offering and the value proposition that TRIPBAM has to offer. Juliette, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Pascal. And thanks everybody for joining the webinar today. I'm just going to share my screen so you guys. Okay, so my name is Juliette Jackman. I'm the Head of Business Development for Europe here at TRIPBAM. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we do, who we are, some insight into what we're seeing in the marketplace in terms of hotel bookings in the corporate sector, and kind of just run you through our suite of solutions that we have here at TRIPBAM, our toolkit. So to begin with, here we've got a brief introduction. We're going to talk on the COVID impact and then look for the suite of solutions. So TRIPBAM itself, who are we? We started in 2012. We're headquartered in Dallas. And where we started initially was predominantly on the corporate hotel rate reshopping tool. As we've grown, we're no longer babies anymore. We've grown our client base, we've grown our data, we've grown our intelligence. And so it's really given us some additional insight to be able to support our clients with evaluating their program, optimizing it, and sourcing. So the whole 360 approach within hotel program management. In terms of our results and who we serve, we look after 2,800 plus companies across the globe. We have monitored 7 billion in spend, which equates to 20 million bookings. The savings that we've provided for our clients in 2019 alone are 78 million. And in terms of where we are, we're across 180 plus countries. We work in all time zones, all languages, all currencies, GDS systems, and so on and so forth. So moving forward to take a little view into pre-COVID and what was happening in the hotel market. You can't really have a presentation at the moment without talking about COVID, so we thought it useful to slip something in here. You can see here on the left, you've got the monthly occupancy rates of hotels, and on the right, the average daily rate. This data has come from STR, which is a good resource. Each line that you can see here represents a year. So over the last 10 years, since 2011, there's been kind of steady, predictable, similar patterns happening each and every year. That obviously has changed as we move into 2020, and things aren't comfortable that they're going to stay the same for the future. There's really high levels of volatility. There's really low levels of confidence in forecasting. There's hotels opening and closing across the globe. And there's really kind of a need to change as we kind of move beyond this. So if we share a little bit of insight into what we're seeing across COVID and the impact that that's had on hotel bookings in the corporate space, we've seen rate reductions go down as low as 30 to 40% below what they were last year, which is really significant. Static rates in the past were quite a safe bet. They were quite reliable, that you were getting good savings. Now that's no longer the case, because in some cases they're providing negative value. If you look at the length of stay, so that's gone up by a day since last year. So people are arguably traveling less frequently, but when they are traveling, they're staying for longer and getting more business done. It was previously around 2.4 nights, and now that's gone up to around 3.4. The booking lead time, so as people are kind of looking ahead to plan their travels, that's increased from 19 days up to 29 days, so quite a significant leap in that. And in terms of savings opportunities, as mentioned with the kind of rate reductions that you've seen, there's much bigger opportunities to kind of capture and make savings from the booking date to the arrival date. So if I just want to take a little bit of a moment to think about that as we go through TRIPBAM's primary rate reshopping offering. So really how this works is, I have a little model here. If you take a booking that was made on day 1 to arrive on day 15, that booking was made in a king room at a rate of $249. The hotel policy, or the company policy, apologies, is for a queen, which could have been booked on the same day for $224, so that would already have been a saving. If you imagine there's a static contracted rate in place of 199, which wasn't made available at the time because that rate had been closed out by the hotel, they would have made a further saving of $199. But if you look here at where this model kind of moves up and down the curve, you can see that behind the scenes revenue are working to flex that rate up and down on any given day. So if you could capture that rate on day 8 here, that would be at a rate of $163. So what you've got there is a savings opportunity with employing something like daily rate reshopping, which we have, of $86 a night, which is pretty significant when you add up all those bookings and all those room nights in any given hotel program. How we work to design this with our corporate clients is we would sit down and work through the setup. And that setup can be based around kind of whatever criteria you set. It could be length of stay, it could be where you want the savings threshold to be. You can tier it down to your travellers' kind of tiering level. So VIPs might want to be excluded, for example. And then kind of once we've got that set up of what savings you want to see, travel type, and so on and so forth, we go through and we capture those bookings in real time as they happen. They're tracked, including any location, GDS, or booking method. As we capture those bookings, we then every day search for better rates based on the settings that you provide us. Once we find those savings, we then rebook when they match your criteria. And then kind of wrapping this all up together, you have reporting. So you get access to your own daily dashboard 24/7, whenever you want it, in real time, to really look at what this rate reshopping product is delivering for you and savings that are being made. Just want to show you a few examples of the kind of reporting that you get with our tool. So this would be the front page. As you can see here on the left, you've got the percentage of offers that we're finding. In this case, we're finding offers on 16% of all bookings that are being made. Those savings are then, well, those offers are then being rebooked in the middle, 78%, and therefore being realised 94%, or the percentage of savings realised is at 94%. So this client's really being able to save a significant amount of money, as you can see here, $208,000. Along the bottom, you've got a quick overview, kind of where your start rate is, the number of nights, days in advance, and so on and so forth. And there's a selection of tabs that you have access to as part of your dashboard, but this is really the key summary tab. Another one that you can see here is you can kind of break down the statistics by month and get some deeper analysis by check-in date or on the offer and rebook rate, on how many bookings we're processing, and where there's potential savings, but they haven't necessarily been realised. On all of these dashboards, you can drill down and get more information as you see fit. Moving on to kind of the next offering that we have in our toolkit, hotel intelligence. So this kind of takes it to the next level, where you can look to find savings via auditing, benchmarking, performance grading, and so on and so forth. This kind of works on the theory of how much time and effort travel managers spend investing in creating preferred hotel programs. I mean, if we think about the RFP process alone, you know, the 4 to 6 months that takes to negotiate the rates, how do you then grade it and understand how well you're performing and where you can make further improvements? It's quite tricky. It's quite difficult to understand and analyse it. So we try to help with that. And we try to help with guiding the travel managers to understand where they could focus their efforts to increase the savings. If you look here, this is a dashboard to kind of illustrate what we mean. You can see the kind of savings that are being made on the left, the kind of coverage that your program is providing on the right. In the middle, you can see where the spend is actually going, whether it's across flat rates, chain-wides, or dynamic. And then really on the bottom, you see the opportunities to make bigger savings. So at the moment in this example, this company has spent 64 million on their hotel program. If they had no program in place, if there was, they would be spending 80. But along the bottom, you see some examples where you can really use TRIPBAM to improve with LRA performance, which would make a further saving of another $1 million, or improve the sourcing efforts or shifting their business to preferred hotels, utilising kind of rate auditing and making sure that people are staying in preferred hotels. So it really just gives some insight in order for people to kind of evaluate their programme and take it to the next level and kind of provide a best-in-class program. If you look through here, a couple of other slides that give you some insight into the property benchmarking. So you can really look at your hotels on the right-hand side, how they're performing, how good your discount is, what is the effective discount, both in the market and compared with your peers and your competitive set. You can look at property benchmarks in terms of LRA deliverance. So you've spent a lot of time negotiating a rate that's got LRA in it. Are you actually getting that rate when you need it? Which kind of brings me on to the next offering that we have, which is LRA enforcement. So thinking about our benchmark data, this shows us that negotiated LRAs are really only offered and booked in sort of 60–90% of all bookings. It's quite a big variety depending on the market. But what that does is provides a gap in terms of the savings that are being made for the company. So you can overspend on hotels by between 2 and 6%. We thought about traditional audits of hotel rates and hotel programs, and where they're based is they would sample a small number of simulated reservations, not even actual reservations of when your travellers are going. That then goes out to the hotel representation and asks them to take the corrective action. If it's not on real bookings, then it's very difficult to monitor that. Beyond that kind of request to open the rates, nothing else is done. So it's quite difficult to monitor how that is then being corrected and delivered upon. So we take this LRA enforcement approach, which is kind of moving it into the proactive space. You can have access to a dashboard that shows your LRA percentage, the savings that have been lost by property. You can send alerts to the property to advise them to open their rate because you know that room type's available. That's all automated behind the scenes here at TRIPBAM. And then once they've taken that corrective action, we can automatically move that booking onto the right rate that it should have been on. So there's really some opportunities here to kind of optimize what everybody's worked so hard to negotiate in the process. If we think about Smart Share Shift, so Smart Share Shift for us looks at shifting the spend to the preferred hotels. So we know that even in really amazing hotel programs, travellers frequently book at non-preferred properties. This causes kind of a number of problems that you can see here. You're not getting the savings that you negotiated, you're not receiving the negotiated amenities, you're reducing your capability to negotiate better deals and your leverage within that. And kind of when you look at your program, traditional reporting comes kind of 4 to 6 weeks after the event. So it's really difficult to take action and to make some changes to kind of deliver the benefits that you should be. So with the idea of Smart Share Shift, we would work with a client on their goals, on what they're looking to achieve. It could be that they're looking to increase compliance and shift spend into preferred properties. It could be that they're looking to shift spend away from non-preferred hotels. So they're looking to make sure that certain hotels aren't used. It could be that they're looking to target savings in specific locations. We've had a number of our clients use it for this, where they've looked, they have a need according to, say, their business unit or according to a certain location to make significant savings. And we've really worked with them to understand where they could shift their business to other preferred properties in specific locations that still meets their criteria. One of the benefits that you have in this is that you're obviously maximising the savings, but also you're upgrading travellers in some instances. So you're giving them the ability to capture those amenities, to capture those benefits that hotels that want to partner with you are offering. The settings are completely flexible. As with anything in TRIPBAM, it's very bespoke. It can be edited, tested according to whatever your objectives are, kind of really make sure you're delivering what you need to for your company. And then if we move on to, this is our latest product offering. It's launched late last year and it's already making quite a splash in the market, winning, we're proud to say, quite a few awards for innovation. So this looks at adding new hotels when you need it with just a couple of clicks. So it looks at the hotel program in real time. It looks at non-preferred hotels. It looks at hotels where you're not delivering, where they're not offering the rates all of the time. It kind of the whole package of everything we have within TRIPBAM. And it looks at smarter ways that you can add your coverage without taking the traditional kind of 6 months time, resource, costs associated with it to prepare. So I'm just going to walk you through a quick example of what this looks like. So you have an opportunity here. You're a travel manager. You're looking at your business travel spend in Austin, in Texas. You can see it's quite significant. You've got 26,000, over 26,000 room nights in that market. You can see that there's 944 non-negotiated nights, and the majority of those are going in the JW Marriott in Austin. So this gives you some examples, some initial insight into where you've got an opportunity to source something. Once you've done that, you can then drill down a little bit further to have a closer look at the property. You can see how the hotel is reviewed by travellers that are currently staying in it. Here it's showing excellent, 4 stars, a really nice high traveller score. You can see what your performance is doing on the right-hand side, and you can compare that and benchmark that with others staying in the market. So you can see here this example, your performance, your average negotiated rate is 307, but the average negotiated rate on a benchmark is only 286. So you can see there's an opportunity to kind of make some further savings, engage in a conversation with this hotel, and look to see what can be done. We then take that knowledge that we have of what we know is benchmark what others are paying in the market, what others are paying in this hotel. We know kind of their LRA performance, all of that information, and roll that up into what we would recommend you requesting, whether it's for a static or a dynamic deal. And then you can take that further forward and request to send a bid. If you send a bid here, you can select at the top where the bid is sent to. You can select dynamic or flat rates. You can flex these. You can see the little dial underneath where it says good deal. You can make that larger or smaller. At the bottom, you kind of have the kind of yes or no questions. But what you can further do with that is you can attach your own T's and C's. So these are the things that they have to comply to be part of your program. But these are the kind of the things you'd really like to see. So once that bid has been sent, the hotel receives something that looks a little bit like this, which advises that they'd like to establish a relationship. It gives them the top line information, and then the option at the bottom to review and respond and look at all the terms and conditions. Assuming they say yes, which we've had really good feedback that they have, that then goes through and gets loaded, and the loading instructions are sent to them. And easy as that. It's all loaded up into a central hotel file, so you can see at a click exactly what you have loaded, what's still pending, what you're waiting for a response from. And it really is as simple as that. So kind of that takes you through the overview of what we offer here within TRIPBAM. I think it might be quite useful to take a look here at the sort of savings that we deliver with these different options that you have. So the rate reshopping is a lift of 3.5%, and LRM 40, you can see the numbers for yourself. But really you've got the ability to deliver some pretty significant savings with employing these various kind of tactics and tools to kind of make sure that the program is delivering everything that you need it to. So I guess with that, for me, that kind of covers joining the TRIPBAM revolution. So thank you very much, Pascal, for inviting me to come along today.
Thank you, Juliette. For the people on the call, if you have any questions, feel free to submit them in the chat function. And in the meantime, I do have 2 questions for you. First, from an implementation perspective, how does that typically work with TRIPBAM? And secondly, obviously, I would assume that there is some change management needed in an organization when you start implementing such a solution. Can you share with us a few lessons learned from that perspective, from a communication and a change management perspective of what our members should think about when they consider implementing TRIPBAM?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Pascal. So the implementation piece first, it's a 5 to 6 week process. Once everybody's signed contracts and so on and so forth, it's a 5 to 6 week process where we have weekly calls with our operations team. So we would speak to the travel agency or TMC, and we would engage with them and their operations team to be able to, sorry, I just got distracted with the chat, to be able to make sure that we can see the bookings. So the bookings go on a PCC, on a queue, via an API. So I don't want to get too technical, I'm never sure. But that booking goes on the queue. They would then tell us which queue it sits on, and we would then go and deliver and make sure, send a few test bookings, make sure that we can see those. And from there, we're kind of good to go. It's really pretty straightforward. And the change management piece is actually a really useful point to bring up, because as mentioned at the beginning, it's completely bespoke. And most people start with kind of an exact like for like offering. So you're not moving anybody's hotel, you're not changing the amenities that they receive, you're just delivering savings. So in that instance, we work with them to be able to, we can send the communication with them, and we kind of hold their hand initially with the communication to say, this is what other people have advised their travelers when this is taking place. But really, the travelers don't see any disruption. They just pay a lesser rate when they get to the hotel. So it's all quite straightforward.
Okay, thank you. In the meantime, we did receive another question, and I'll just read it out for everybody. And it just jumped to another one. So here we are. How are reservations amended to the better rate? Is this automated, or is it the recommendation and the agent makes the amendment themselves? Or is there another way how it is done? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, of course. It's both. Whoever asked that question obviously knows TRIPBAM. We can do it either way. So we can either automate the rebooking process. So we find the better deal, we capture it in real time, and we send a notification back down the PNR. Or we can send an advice to the TMC to say, hey, we found this better rate. Do you want to review it and rebook it yourself? We find a better rate being on a better kind of savings captured rate when it's automated, because we capture it in real time as it happens. And sometimes you might get a bit of a delay in lag time between the TMC picking up the offer and actually capturing it, which might mean the offer's gone. So we get a higher rate with an automated rebooking, but we can do it either way.
Thank you. And then we have received in the meantime one more question. Can you share how TRIPBAM financial proposition works, how TRIPBAM gets rewarded from their clients?
Ooh, that's a good one. We have a couple of different models with that. We can work on a subscription model, which is, I guess, a bit like a Netflix subscription, where you pay a monthly fee. We can work on a transaction fee, or we can work on a game share model, where we take a percentage of the savings that we find. So kind of we can be flexible according to, because, you know, sometimes you'll have a situation where people don't have budget to spend to it. And the idea behind TRIPBAM is that we should never be costing you more than you're saving. So the idea is to kind of work for the general good of the company to make sure that we're finding the savings and we're delivering them. And as you saw, I think, hopefully I illustrated at the beginning the kind of things that we're seeing with this COVID impact. You know, the offer rate that we're finding is crazy. You know, at the height of this, we were finding savings on about 45% of offers. And the fact that the lead time has gone up from 19 days to 29 days, and that we're shopping every day, means that we've got 10 extra days to go and see if we can find better savings. So, you know, all of these things are kind of adding to what we've talked about before, Pascal, this kind of volatility that's going on in the marketplace. People aren't confident in what's going to be the case next week, next month, next year. And so people are booking quite a long time in advance, giving themselves that flexibility and the reassurance. And then kind of the clients that are using us are then just kind of sitting back with the confidence to say, okay, whatever happens in the market, we're going to capture it. If something better comes along, we're going to be able to take that opportunity and make sure that they're kind of making the savings for the travelers, but also delivering and having that kind of reporting and documentation to share with their C-suite and to share with their stakeholders when they're being asked, you know, I found a cheaper rate online, what's going on? They can say, but yes, we've captured that, and this is exactly how much we've captured, and this is where, and, you know, really to that level of detail that kind of makes their life hopefully a little bit less stressful at the moment. Hope that answered the question.
Absolutely, thank you. I don't see any more questions coming in. We'll give it maybe one more minute for people to, if there are any questions, to submit them through the chat function.
I
in
see
the
somebody
meantime,
asking for my contact details. So shall I share my screen again?
you sure can. If, yeah,
Thanks.
go ahead.
Thank you. Just wait till that goes away. There you go.
Perfect. And in the meantime, we received one more question. In which areas would further improvement be needed? Is there any roadmap that you have right now with things coming in the near future?
Oh, a crystal ball, that would be nice. We are seeing some insight, and what we're currently doing, and obviously if anybody on the call would like to pick up the conversation on this, we're working with some clients to kind of do some analysis about how strong their program was before. So kind of taking some data and some information and being able to work that through the numbers of the clients that we have to say, okay, in the past, your rates were really strong in this market, but you might have had opportunities to make savings here. We're talking to a lot of people about their RFP process and obviously our smart sourcing solution to say, okay, if you don't have the resource, what do you do? But if anybody wanted to pick up the conversation to kind of set, you know, to have a look in depth at their specific kind of program, what it looks like, then we'd be happy to have a chat.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any other questions coming in. So first of all, I want to thank you, Juliette, for your support and your partnership this morning. I think it was a very insightful presentation of what TRIPBAM can offer and what value it can bring to a corporate travel program. So thank you very much for that. I want to thank all the attendees for joining us this morning. And remember, we have another one coming up on Thursday morning and 4 more in the upcoming weeks. So hope to see you all at one of our future events. Thank you very much. Stay healthy and see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much, Pascal, for having me today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.